Hola muchachos, how are you? Today we have the narración en el pasado, number 1. In other words, we're going to talk about the preterite and the imperfect, specifically about some uses of the preterite and the imperfect. First of all, I want to start with preterite and imperfect. I want to start with the timeline idea, this notion of time as an arrow. And here I have the present tense. I have the future right here. And I have the past. Future, present, and past. Let's say I'm here in the present tense, as we all are all the time. And here in the past, I'm going to mark one specific point. This one is going to be the preterite. Let's imagine the preterite as a specific point in the past. But now, if I have 2 points in the past, and I have this wavy line here, what I'm indicating here is the idea of motion, of dynamic movement. This is for the representation of the imperfect. Okay, I want you to keep this in mind, this basic notion, this basic idea. Okay, now let's talk about specifically the preterite. Okay, let's talk about the uses of the preterite. The first one is in Spanish is principio, the beginning, y el final de una acción en el pasado. Okay? That's the beginning and the ending of an action in the past. Okay? For example, I can say el partido empezó a las 8 p.m., las 20 horas. Okay? Another use of the preterite is probably the most common, to make reference to completed action in the past. Para hablar de acciones completas. That's what your book says. Okay? Para hablar de acciones completas. Por ejemplo, María fue de vacaciones a Perú. Okay? María fue de vacaciones a Perú. Empezó, that's the preterite. Fue, that's the preterite. This one indicates the beginning of an action, the moment in which the game started. In the second case, I am talking about a completed action. The vacations are over. It's part of the past. They are completed actions. Okay? Bueno. Number 3. Para narrar una serie de acciones en el pasado. de acciones en el pasado. Okay? To make reference to a series of actions in the past. Okay? For example, José fue al supermercado. Compró la comida. Fue después al cine y luego regresó a casa. How many verbs I use here? Fue, it's one. Compró, that's another one. Fue, again, here. And then regresó. 1, 2, 3, 4 different preterite verbs to talk about completed actions in the past. A series of completed actions in the past. Okay? So just let me clean this, and I have to continue with other examples. Okay, just let me add this. This way is better. I like it better with this. There you go. Okay. Para indicar un cambio. Uy, está mojado. Se me pasó la mano. I used a little bit too much. This is about a change in your mood in the past. Cambio en el estado de ánimo. Dios mío. Oh my goodness, you don't read anything here. Oh. Okay. I have this piece of fabric, which is pretty handy. Okay. Now it works, right? Cambios en el estado de ánimo. Mood. In the past, of course. I can say, Rosa se alegró de verme. This is a reflexive verb, by the way. Se alegró de verme. So she was very natural, very normal, and then she saw me and she was all of a sudden very happy, right? She got really happy when she saw me. This is a change in the mood in the past. And these are 1, 2, 3, 4 specific uses of the preterite according to the book. There are other different uses, right? But I want to focus on this because this is what you're going to find in your quizzes online. Okay? So now we can talk about the imperfect. The first use of the imperfect, according to your book, is to describe an action or a state or a condition without beginning or ending. When the beginning or the ending of the action or the condition is not very clear. For example, if just let me say, acciones o estados sin principio ni final claro. Okay? Todos amábamos a nuestro perro. Okay? What I'm describing here is an emotion, the love we all felt for our dog. So that's something in the past, but it's not clear when this emotion began and where it ended. I'm describing a condition in the past. The next one is to express habitual actions or common actions. Acciones habituales. This is the things we used to do in the past. For example, todos los veranos, every summer, íbamos a la playa. This is an habitual action, something that we repeated every single summer. It's right here. Íbamos a la playa. Okay? This is the habitual action. Okay, the next one is estados físicos, mentales y emocionales. Obviously in the past. Okay? Physical, mental, and emotional moods or conditions in the past. Estaba cansado. Estábamos tristes. ¿Ya? Estaba cansado, estaba triste, estabas ansioso. And I'm using the imperfect for all this. Cansado, I was tired, physical tired, was sad, triste, and I felt anxious. I was anxious. These are physical, mental, and emotional conditions in the past. And that's why I'm using the imperfect. This is a very interesting one. It's going to be the last one. Number 4 says, when we make reference to the future from a point in the past. Okay. For example, this is number 5. 1, 2, 3. Yes, number 5. El futuro desde el pasado. And the example in your book says, ella dijo que se marchaba. Okay, she said que se marchaba a New York. ¿Vale? Ella dijo que se marchaba a New York. She said she left to New York. ¿Vale? She said in the past that she was going to go to New York, right? She was leaving to New York. That's what she's saying. That's the different perspectives here. So we are, let's imagine again the timeline. We are here in the present. And we have this point in the past. And she said in this point that she was going to New York. a point in the future, in relation to this x point, right? But both are my past because I am here in the present. You see? That's the different perspective you need to remember. Okay, there are other uses of the preterite and imperfect. And I have another video in which I explain on detail other different uses. I'm going to make that other video available for you in Canvas. Okay? Whenever we are giving background information in the past, we use the imperfect. Whenever we're talking about completed actions, we use the preterite. I have this metaphor. Imagine this is a rope, okay? And imagine that you have several knots. This is, use your imagination and think that this is a rope, and these are the different knots, okay? Well, the different knot is like the essential thing, the essential facts in the past, okay? I will have to use the preterite for all of them. But for the space, or this piece of rope between the knots, I will have to use the imperfect. Just imagine that this additional information, or the background information when we're telling a story, is essential for us to visualize whatever the storyteller is saying. Just listen to me. It was a dark and a stormy night. This cliche, right? It was a dark and a stormy night. That's pure background information. Just imagine that you write a novel, a work of fiction without background information. What would be the length of this book? 10 pages, 20 pages? No more than that. The thing is that the reader wants to know more than the facts. The reader wants to see in his mind, in her mind, wherever the storyteller is saying. Okay? It was called, that's background information, that's imperfect. She was a tall lady, for example, or she was a beautiful lady. I'm describing physically a person. That's imperfect, because this is pure background information. Okay? Now, there are a situation in which I have to use both the imperfect and the preterite. Okay? And in your book, in your page 42, you have an example of the different uses of the preterite and imperfect together. But I want you to pay attention, because now I'm going to explain a very common case that we call simultaneous actions. Imagine that you have an action, an ongoing action, and then you have, boom, an action that interrupts. Okay? Well, the ongoing action is going to be imperfect, and the action that interrupts, it's the preterite. Okay? For example, estaba viendo una película cuando Me llamó mi mamá. Okay. Estaba viendo una película cuando me llamó mi mamá. Estaba esto. Estaba is the imperfect. And llamó, this is the imperfect. And this is the preterite. Okay. Obviously, this is the ongoing action. I was watching a movie when my mom called me. The action that interrupts is the phone call, and I have to use the preterite, llamó. Okay? And that will be the simultaneous action case, which is very common, by the way. And this is the end of the preterite and the imperfect. Thank you.